I quit one of the largest investment banks in the world, on track to make 200,000 this year to travel and figure out my next steps. Here's my story. So I grew up as a first generation American where me and my two brothers shared a bed, living with me lying perpendicularly and my brother's feet at my face in a room smaller than a college dorm. No connections in finance or corporate America for that matter. I did 11 jobs in accounting and finance throughout college and did investment banking full time, including working at some of the largest banks in the world during college, such as the largest asset manager at the time, managed trillions. Now it's just in the top 10, the largest banks of two separate foreign countries, and the largest independent investment bank in the world, at least in the US. And I achieved this one by knowing what I would do. My friends growing up around me thought that it was impossible. Don't know why to this day they had that mindset, but they just would always be saying, treating it as if achieving success in your career is like becoming an NBA athlete or you need to be born a millionaire or something. And second thing was that I was always putting in efforts. So applying to jobs from very early age, doing well in school, reading books, reading Investopedia and YouTube, of course, too, going to finance clubs, etc. So I was making 125,000 base salary and my last bonus was $45,000. Remember the 45,000 is a bonus based off of the prior year, which where my salary was $110,000. So it can be expressed as a percentage of that. I've been traveling so far across Asia. I've been to Mongolia, China, the Philippines. Now I'm in Thailand, and I'll go to Vietnam into Da Nang next month. So it's about to be New Year's here. And yeah, I've been doing a bit of traveling, might come back and do some more in the near future. So the reason why I quit was because I had been getting calls from headhunters about jobs that paid around 150K, so the same what I got my first year out of college, but for only around 55 hours a week. And I was putting in 80 plus on average. It ebbed and flowed, so sometimes I would be putting in less, and sometimes I would be putting in over 100 hours a week. But on average, I was putting in essentially two full-time jobs. And I felt like I had accomplished everything I was looking for in life, and I didn't really have any motivation because I had basically my first year gone from being in college debt to being able to pay all of that off within a few months. And I had worked so hard to achieve success in high finance and corporate America. And here I am, my first year out of college and already getting essentially the most coveted job that people seek. So I really just felt like I achieved what I achieved and didn't have any goals to motivate me. Then I ran the numbers and I also realized it is a guaranteed way to essentially get rich by the time you're like 35 and become an MD and your base salary is 500,000. And if you bring in some deals, you could get $1 million bonus, right? So you're a millionaire in your mid 30s and all you have to do is continue operating at the level that I was operating at and obviously developing and improving. But I think that you really stop enjoying the benefits of being rich when you're around 35 to 40 anyway. And at that point, all you really want to focus on is your kids, your wife, and passing on your knowledge to younger generations. At that age, your kids is really your family. That's really all that you care about. And you don't really have any materialistic sort of goals. And you also give up your youth when you can achieve your fitness goals and be active just to sit in corporate America. And I'm thinking I have my whole career to achieve success, but I've always been very active throughout my whole life, and I want to achieve the highest fitness possible when I'm 25, where I'll never know the most fit I could have ever reached as a human, because that's the peak age that you can achieve fitness. I saw I could always go back to corporate life, or I could just code or do freelance work like coding for freelance in a cheap country. But this is my only chance to really get rich young, which is, I think, everyone's dream. There's always a caveat of doing it while you're young. So what I want to do first is want to recruit for private equity, which is usually less than 60 hours, might be 65 for some firms. The worst ones are 70, and private equity pays around 230K, so I could do that now if I get those positions, which I've been interviewing for. Also open to other buy side roles, like interviewed at Citadel in a few different groups, as well as other high frequency trading firms and market makers and quantitative hedge funds, those of which pay the best. It's 300 to 350K split halfway between salary and bonus. But I can't really rely on this as a plan A, given it's so competitive. And you really need high quality mathematical computer science skills for a lot of those roles. So I just let them come to me, like Millennium, for example, reached out on LinkedIn, Citadel, either directly through email or LinkedIn or Headhunter, and if it works. Second, what I want to do with my free time is read finance and other books, what I didn't have time for when I was in banking. So some of the books that I've been reading and bought that I haven't read yet include Straight to Hell, True Tales of Deviance, Debauchery, and Billion Dollar Deals. I read that already. How the World Works. I've read that already. Lords of Finance. It's about central bankers during the Great Depression. How the World Works talks about plastic and steel and concrete and materials that make up the world, fossil fuels, etc. Seven Powers, a book on investing and about moats and competitive advantages. Another book, Why We Age and Why We Don't Have to. Just interested in the science and health aspects. Den of Thieves, a classic in the finance industry during, I believe, the 80s, about some of those titans. And A Man for All Markets, the guy who I believe founded Counting Cards and then actually took those principles into the stock market later in his life, which isn't talked about as much. Those books that I mentioned, I'll also, for all those books, I'll do separate reviews, so full review videos to explain how I view each of those as well. Another thing I wanted to do is improve my coding, as I briefly mentioned, because software engineers, if you work at a FANG company, you work anywhere from 3 hours a week to 3 hours to 5 hours a day while still making six figures, if not over 200K at the top, the biggest firms. I can also create websites and do some other things to generate some ad revenue, make trading bots for investing, and do freelance work while coding and living wherever I want in the world, including much cheaper places. Next, I also want to make content, which this is my first video of, because one, it's scalable. Two, the upside's unlimited. Three, it continues generating capital in the form of views, even when you're not continually making videos. And four, the trend is, or a wave that I'm trying to ride is AI, which is obviously booming. A lot of services coming out, which I think is enabling a much more efficient creation of content and promotion. For example, making Twitter channels that post every day that's entirely AI generated, and just also having the main page posts, but then also responding to famous people's posts with AI. Please respond to this post in an interesting way and just drive traffic to the channels. And then lastly, also just in my free time, not just become addicted to Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and social media, as many people are. And I want to take my life back by creating content instead of consuming content. And then lastly, traveling as well, just because I'm in Asia right now. And for example, I think the women are much more attractive here. I'll make a video about that separately. But yeah, like a lot of different reasons, but those are the main ones. So next video, I'll talk about how it's been so far and give you guys updates on what I've been doing and the progress of each of those ventures that I mentioned. Stick around, hit the subscribe, hit the like button if you're interested and want to track this journey. And I'll be sharing a lot of the hustles that that I'll try out. I'm going to try a lot of different ones and share sort of the revenues, which ones work, which ones cost more, or which ones are just too time consuming, etc. So I'll keep you guys updated. Also, I wanted to give a timeline for everything. I actually left my job in October of 2023, and I was in Mongolia for around 12 days, and then I spent a month in China, a month in Philippines, and now I'm spending a month here in Thailand. It's just past the new year here in Thailand, and then in Vietnam, I'm going to spend around 15 days as well. So about halfway through my stay here in Thailand. And yeah, I just wanted to give a timeline so you guys understood when things are going on. Here's some clips from my travels. This is Mongolia and the city at sunset. Then me and my friends in Mongolia in the wilderness, climbing and scaling a rock formation. Now Shanghai in the city at sunset as well. Shanghai scaling some roofs to get a good view of the city. And the Philippines, very different with all the trees. This is me and my girl in the Philippines using Face Swap, of course. And then Vietnam, this is the airport, which was beautiful. And then this was Vietnam, the mountains by some water and a bridge. So, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys everything. This was after I completed all my trip. That's why I have Vietnam in here as well. Also wanted to get over 10 minutes because I heard that's good for your YouTube algorithms. Don't know if that's true, but also figured it wouldn't hurt to show you guys everything. So, yeah. Now this is also the reason I use AI. I didn't really address it, but I knew that I wouldn't upload because I would be too self-conscious if I didn't. So I did it for that reason, and then also just so I can retain anonymity, if that's how you say it, which is just because so I can say everything unfiltered as well. Yeah, if you like these clips and want to see more, feel free to hit subscribe. I'll share more about all my travels.